A little bit the Batman of Christmas.
The Batman of Christmas.
That's the title of this episode.
It is, though. That's amazing. My parents were killed by a naughty man. Hey there, tieflings. It's me, your boy, Thomas the Human Bard. Welcome to the Copper Fox Inn. Take a seat and chat with us as we discuss Homebrew for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We wanted to thank everybody whose work that we're going to be reviewing today and talking about. We really appreciate all the creativity that goes in this community, and we hope that through this podcast we can lead a lot of people to find out about homebrews they never would have heard of. They never would have heard about otherwise. So joining me today is
Mercy, the Tiefling Wizard.
Onog, the half-orc barbarian.
And Bean, the Rock Gnome Rogue.
the usual suspects.
Thank you.
Not the way you said that deserved that.
I always, that goes on in my head every time I introduce myself, so it's nice to, hear it.
New D&D
Realized.
magic item idea. Not the one I brought today. We'll get to that in a second. But it's for rogues or bards, and it's just a magically enchanted, duck that just, whenever you say your name, they just go like, wah, 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 wah.
Or, there is, a little bracelet that you wear that every time you cross a threshold, so you go through a door, it can play it has a few options. It can go, brr, 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 or, do-do-do-do-do. It senses every time. It just senses every time you go through a door, or it can have a laugh track.
Or it could do the... Yeah.
You could program it, but it just senses every time you go through a door. But if you forget to turn it off, it will go off every time.
Checks. No!
You're gonna sneak up on the guy.
It's not even
and it's an archway.
That wouldn't even be disadvantage on stealth checks. It would just be you cannot make stealth checks.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that you wouldn't think about it till you go through the doorway. So it's like, as you approach Dark Lord Maleficus, his armor smoldering with the smoke from 1,000 damned souls, you cross the threshold. Roll initiative!
And then
the
rest of the fight is just to that soundtrack.
But then the rogue just tries to play it off by sliding in the door, just going, Jerry!
Maleficus!
Maleficus! All right, it's time for our magic item of the week. Thank you.
That's not the noise.
If you want to pull it up, the magic item of the week today is Sand of the Pocket.
We're just full of memes today, kids.
Boy.
It's a wondrous item, and it is rare. I found this on Reddit on r/D&D from user BJ Hypes. BJ Hypes. Let's read this here. Pocket, there's Sand of the Pocket. Description. You're attacked, but in your pocket is the most tactical weapon any fighter could ask for. Sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Memes within memes.
Oh my gosh, there's so much here.
This non-dimensional, which I don't know what that means.
What?
This non-dimensional pouch can be slapped onto any article of clothing.
Wait. I think that means the pouch has no dimensions.
Yeah.
So it's not a pouch.
It doesn't
It's
exist.
just
It
a
doesn't
thing.
exist in the physical
Slapped
world.
onto any article of clothing to create a pocket that's always filled with sand. See, that's the thing, is it's an
It's
extra
extra
flat
dimensional
line,
thing.
and you put it on your clothes, and now it's a pocket on your clothes.
But it's not like it's haversack or whatever, where it's it's made a mini portal, like a mini pocket dimension.
No, it's just that pocket is full of an amount of sand.
Is it a literal
But it says
pocket
there's
dimension?
always a literal pocket dimension. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for that, Tiefling.
Tiefling.
Thank you for that.
I almost said teary, so okay, you get why I almost said it.
It's a different character.
Different person. There's always enough sand for a perfect handful. Tipping the pocket over does nothing. Sand must be removed via a hand, paw, talon, or an equivalent. Hi, I just have an equivalent. How do I get the sand out?
Some people have tendrils.
No, I'm saying I have an equivalent where my hand should be.
There's
As
just
a-
an equal sign.
It's just a tax form.
As a bonus action, you can throw pocket sand into the eyes of a creature within 5 feet of you. The creature must have eyes for the sand of the pocket to take effect.
Fair, fair.
When the sand is thrown, both parties make contesting dexterity rolls. If the thrower is successful, the sand of the pocket enters the creature's eyes, and the creature has disadvantage on any attacks and ability checks that they make that require sight for 1 round.
What's an any attack?
I know, it's an any attack.
I
So-
think that's
Oh,
just
It's just a
type,
type.
though.
It's fine.
Of all the you can
But
do
wait for it.
all any attacks.
The sand of the pocket is also ideal for sandcastles.
Oh,
That would take
Aw.
forever.
It's like exactly
You just
the right
throw
level
it
of
out
Just
a bunch of
moisture.
because it
times.
has to be by hand.
Yeah,
you
because
can't
it says
dump it.
if you try and shake it out or something, you have to pull it with your hand out. Yeah, I mean it's just a meme, right? Like this is
Yeah.
all just a meme. But the idea of contesting dexterity rolls is one I haven't seen because it's very weird.
Yeah,
You
it's
only
like
ever
not
see
saving
contesting.
throws.
Yeah, you only ever see contesting athletics checks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You never
like
see.
it is a skill that is being used,
Mhm, mhm.
not just an ability being applied.
Yeah. So it's a little weird, but I don't dislike the idea. I think it should probably just be an attack roll, and if
Yeah.
it hits,
And if
it
it
does
hits,
the thing.
they have to make a dex save or something.
Yeah.
But because especially
just a
too,
projectile
if it's
that-
like all attacks and all ability checks that require sight, that's quite disabling.
Yeah.
That's like a monk's stun.
It is disabling, but I am surprised that it's not just they are blinded for
Yeah.
1 round.
Yeah,
They
that
just,
would honestly make more
they
sense.
just don't have the blinded
Because
condition
that
for
also-
1 round.
Yeah, if we were to reword this, I think
Yeah.
it would just be that because blinded provides all of those things.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can't make ability checks that require sight while blinded, perception included, and you have disadvantage on all attacks against an opponent you cannot see. So blinded invokes all of those things.
Yeah.
So, but it is very funny.
I think there would probably need to be, like you had mentioned, because it would be sort of similar to a monk's stun in that you could just keep doing it and maybe blind them every single turn.
Especially because there's no limit.
Yeah, you might want to have a limit on it. If it's going to be, I mean, it's a rare magic item, to be fair. So it's not common or uncommon. Like, it is impressive.
I mean, yeah, if you change it so that you have to hit them with the attack roll because you have to aim the sand, and then they have to make a con or a dexterity saving throw or something like that.
Like, get it out of their eyes. Or
Then if they
through it.
fail, they're blinded. I think you
That's
having
fair.
it be infinite would be fine, especially if the con save is set to the magical item,
Yeah.
as we see a lot of times with a few different items. Like I think it's the helm of telepathy or something like that. Just gives you infinite detect thoughts. You can just do it as many times as you want, but the DC
Yeah, it's a set piece.
is a set low
Right.
DC.
Yeah.
And so this could probably be, you can attempt to blind someone as many times as you want. It's just, are they going to beat a 14 dexterity saving throw? Probably.
At a certain point,
At a certain point,
it
they will get
becomes
that.
smarter to just use your action for
Yeah.
an attack or something. Yeah.
We actually have a character in another campaign where one time we broke a window in a fight, and it wasn't supposed to be anything, but this other player was like, "Can I collect all the
The
glass
shards
dust?"
of dust.
Oh, yeah.
And now he just throws it in people's eyes all the time.
Yeah, and I essentially do that where I give them a save and I have them make an attack roll. I don't think I give them blinded. I think I just make them have disadvantage on attacks. Just that.
Just
for
because
the
they're
next
just
round.
distracted.
They're just distracted. And sometimes I will decide that they don't attack for like
because they're...
role play
Ah.
reasons. I'll say he is distracted enough that he attempts to get the glass out of his eyes for a turn. That's not like a mechanic of the glass. That's up to me as a DM to just say,
Yeah.
that's what that monster is doing right now. Which I think is a completely different discussion about how to correctly play monsters as a DM, especially having them make their own choices that aren't dictated by mechanics. But that's a big enough concept, and we should do it in
A side quest!
our own free time.
I made you guys do the side quest in the voice. It's catching on. It
Uh,
will live.
It is a virus that has infected my very soul.
That's the best way to make something catch on.
You know, it's catching on with the other people that host the podcast.
Yeah.
So I think that's a start for you, Thomas. Maybe one day fans will catch
Maybe
on as well.
fans will all like,
Once
sing
we
along.
have some fans, they'll catch on.
We have at least 12 fans. Yeah.
We got subscribers. I'm one of them.
I know. We have like 12. That's all I got for the magic item. Anyone want to say anything else about it?
I mean, I just really love the pose that the guy is doing in this. Like, it's not just a little...
Oh, he's into it.
You know,
He is wearing the baseball hat in a direct King of the Hill reference.
Yes, but, like, you know, he just has, like, a very, very... He has practiced this throw.
Yeah.
You know, there is a technique to it.
Him doing, like, Tai Chi in the morning, but just in the motion of throwing the pocket sand as he practices to flip
Reach
his arm
under your armpit.
Way. Yeah.
I mean, if I were to do this, it says that you can slap it on any article of clothing. I would just attach it to the palm of a glove.
Just Spider-Man that sand.
But you have to reach into it with a hand.
All you
That's
have
what
to
it
do
says.
is just tuck a finger in and then kind of
And
like...
just
But
Spider-Man.
then would
Flick
you
it.
only flick, like, 2 fingers full?
that's fair.
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, okay.
What's the worst article of clothing you could attach this to?
A jock strap.
Inside of the jock strap.
Inside of the jock
A
strap.
sock in your boot.
Now we're talking.
Oh, that would get annoying real
A
quick.
thong, maybe.
It says piece
You,
of
you
clothing.
really need to get away from the genital area.
I just hate underwear.
It says piece of clothing. I'm gonna go with a beanie,
Ooh, yeah.
but in the beanie.
In the
You have to like
You have to
reach up
reach
and
up
then
into
you
your
like knock
hair,
the beanie
And
off.
then you're
You
as
sand
you're
in
pulling
your
it out,
hair.
it is getting into your hair.
And it's coarse. It's
And
getting
it's
everywhere.
getting everywhere.
Uh,
I
But not
would,
like you. You're smooth.
I would say just the practicality wise, like maybe in the middle of your back,
Mm,
and you just can't like
just
get
right
your
between the
hand.
shoulder
Oh,
blades.
that would be fun.
Inside?
Like do it as a prank to someone.
Wait, no, you could John McClane it. You could Die Hard it right on the top of your shirt, and you're like,
Yippee-ki-yay.
you've got your hands over your head. You're just like, hey, I'm surrendering pocket sand.
That's the most useful weapon you could put there. Absolutely.
Of all the weapons in D&D, that's the best one.
And this is OP.
Yeah, I think we're actually gonna have to nerf this, guys. We've created a powerful weapon.
See, I'm wondering things like it's not necessarily a pocket dimension. So if I did stuff like added a bunch of real like cayenne pepper in here as well, would it make it spicy pocket sand? And then it would like burn people's eyes.
I don't know if it would because I don't know if there if sand actually does exist in the pocket.
Yeah, it just
until
says
you reach in.
it says that there's always enough
Yeah.
for a perfect hand.
So it's like I don't know
So
if there's just sand
it's
sitting in there.
magically
You can mix
generated
stuff
or not.
up
Yeah, it's not.
or-
It's not. But see, since there isn't sand in there, if you put chili powder in there, and then when you reached in, it would generate sand, and then it would
and
just
chili powder.
automatically
What if you
mix with
just
the chili powder.
always had to like just chop some jalapenos and rubbed them all over your hands?
You
So then
just
your
poke people.
hands are covered in the chili. So when you reach in for the sand,
Ah, yes.
you know how a lot of people try to like their
You guys
first
are just
thing.
inventing pepper spray.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're trying to invent D&D pepper sprays. What are we doing? No, but you know, a lot of rogues, one of the first things they do is they try to poison a blade.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's like the thing to do. You're like,
Yeah.
I want to see if I can get this basilisk's poison on my blade. And you're like, okay, there's not really mechanics for that, but I guess I'll say it's got a coating. It'll go away in an hour. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love it if you had a rogue who's just like, I rub habaneros all over my blade every day, so that cuts burn.
It doesn't
They
do extra
deal-
damage.
They
It's
deal 1 point of fire damage.
It counts as fire.
It counts, but just the
It's
1
spicy.
point. But then you do that thing where you're like licking the blade, like the anime dramatic thing, and you're just
I
like,
should not have licked
yeah, the poison guy.
Wait.
My blade has a certain sting. It's covered in poison. Ha. Oh, I should not have licked it. Then he just falls over.
Here's what you got to do. We
Okay.
homebrew a whole other magical item called the Glove of Spice Touch, and when you wear it, anything
The
you touch,
capsaicin gauntlet.
yes, and anything that when you choose, you say the command word, and then when you touch something, that object becomes spicy.
Is the command word? That's a spicy meatball.
Yes, you can choose it. So you reach in, and then when you get the sand out of your sand pocket, you say the command word, and then the sand is spicy. So then when you throw it, and with the combination of these two magical items, you're
You're
unstoppable.
Yeah, that's all you need to be unstoppable, right?
Where Tarrasque's child's play.
Sand of the pocket and the glove of spice
No.
touch.
The glove of spice has 5 different words of power you can use.
Okay.
One of them scary. It probably gives fear. One of them sporty. Maybe
Did
it
you
cascades.
did you just look up all the Spice Girls names?
Baby.
You just looked up all the Spice Girls names.
Ginger. And maybe Posh could be the last one.
If anyone you touch becomes a redhead,
No, Ginger would be like, they taste like
Spicy.
ginger now.
they just taste like.
Man, is that ginger?
But
If you're
see,
wearing
the
the
thing-
glove of Posh Spice, you cannot not have your pinky out.
It just-
You have a bonus to your persuasion checks, obviously.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing: is the
While
baby.
you have the glove of Posh Spice on, you can pass as nobility.
Yes. Just your glove. Everyone's like, ooh.
You have you have the benefits of the noble background, even if you did not take it. Wait, that's a cool
That's
mechanic.
actually great.
Ooh, and here we go.
That's another
Oh,
side quest we can do,
yeah.
guys. Background.
But
underutilized, I would say.
I'm just throwing it out there. The baby spice is one of the most powerful items because with the right command word, it just can turn people and
Into
or monsters
children.
into babies.
It's like a true polymorph,
Yeah.
but just to babies.
and
But
so
then
you're like fighting the
"But
lich.
I could re-raise this now as my own
Yeah.
and maybe teach it to be good.
I'm holding my hand up to have a question answered.
Yeah.
Does the baby... Is the baby the same species, or is it always a human baby?
I think it's the same
Are you
species.
like, back wolf, and then it's a human baby?
That is
now?
what I was picturing this
That's
whole
what I
time.
was picturing.
See, I was just imagining you're like, oh no, a wolf, and you
And then
touch
turns
it,
to
and
a puppy.
it
Yeah,
turns into a
I
wolf
get that.
pup.
I get that now.
Guys, that's how we
Baby.
get lycanthropy. We can't have this.
That's how the first lycanthrope
Guys, you would just
happens.
increase the human population by like way too much. Because there would just
Hmm.
be suddenly all of these new human babies that weren't ever meant to exist.
You'd have races of wildling children.
Yes.
And like just Lord of the Fliesing it. Just
who
not
have the
knowing.
perfect memories of fully adult
I was gonna
wolves.
This is
say-
my question: is their mental like
But
are they
they're just
mentally the
children.
same, but they have the body of a baby,
They
or
have-
are they just an innocent baby?
They have full Narnia syndrome, where they're like, I have lived the full adult life of a wolf, but now I am a human child.
Gosh.
That's where all those like murder children from horror movies come from, because they're just like evil liches who just got turned into babies.
Mhm.
Guys,
Hey, murder
guys.
children
guys,
get a bad rap.
wait a minute. Stop everything. We just wrote the plot to the film Sky High. That's
We
just the
did.
plot of the film. Is the villain gets turned
That's
into
right.
a baby, and then she gets raised again and goes through high school again.
Is that the
with
plot?
the
Yeah.
children?
That's right. That's the twist at the end. Is that
What?
like
The
the
hot
popular
girl. Yeah.
Spoiler
was-
I've
alert.
never seen it.
Oh yeah, spoilers for Sky High.
Spoilers
Because
for
it
like a
just came
15-year-old
out, yeah.
movie.
Spoilers
Uh,
for an insanely amazing movie.
15-year-old movie that no one cares.
Oh my gosh, I will fight you. I love Sky
No,
High
Sky is
so
not
much.
a bad film. No
But yeah,
one cares.
but that's the plot twist. Is
Yeah.
that the hot girl at school was the parents' nemesis, but that just was re-raised as
Well,
a, as
she
a
got turned
person.
into a baby.
Her
Yeah.
original machine was to turn people into babies, and it like exploded, and they all thought it had killed her, but it actually turned her into
What
a baby.
weird premise.
Oh yeah.
That's weird.
That's some deep dive.
Why is your
That's
evil
really
machine
weird.
one that
We say
turns
after
people
having
into
come up with that idea.
After
Weird,
accidentally
weird.
getting there.
Like, it makes sense if we do it. Someone went out and made that a film!
Somebody went into a boardroom and said,
Is
"This
it-
is the hot new film for teens."
Was that film not made for the mouse?
No, it was not made for
Are
the
you
mouse.
sure?
It was not made for Michael the House Squirrel.
Michael the House Squirrel. Let me check real quick. Because I can almost swear it was.
I think it was.
An original
Yes, it is.
creation
I
of
think it
Michael
is
the
a
House
Disney movie.
Squirrel.
I mean, a Disney movie.
Production companies, the Walt Disney Company.
Oh,
No, because it
You know,
has
the,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Dizzy
because
Squirrel.
the dad is. Oh gosh, what's his name? Who's the dad?
Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
Russell.
Kurt Russell was
I almost
like.
said Kurt Reynolds, but
Kurt
moving on.
Reynolds.
Kurt Russell and Burt Reynolds have had a beautiful child.
that
That's our next
Java.
homebrew.
But
But both of them were turned into one single baby.
Kurt Russell was a basically like Walt Disney's favorite actor to work with.
Yeah.
And so anytime he's in anything remotely towards kids, it's Disney doing it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm glad that we really stayed on topic this time
Yep.
and just talked about pocket sand. Let's move on.
Hey guys, remember when we were talking about sand? That was so long ago.
Bean, what have you brought us today?
Okay, So I have
Viewers, listeners, if you want to just like take a break at this point, I know we've really gone off the rails. Meditate for a few moments. Go get a drink. Come back.
I mean, maybe we'll put a graphic earlier that says you can take a break. Come back at this time mark.
Come back later. We're just going to talk about
that tangent can be its own
side
quest of just all of us going insane.
Maybe it will be.
All right.
What have you brought us, Bean?
Okay, so I have brought for us a fun... I think it's fun. It is on D&D Wiki.
I like it when you qualify these things. Fun. Well, I think it's fun.
Well, it is not, like, designed to be kooky and fun. I just think it is a fun way to get yourself thinking about how to do campaigns, give yourself ideas. So this is on D&D Wiki. It is called 100 Adventure Ideas.
Which is a lie.
It is a lie. There are 205.
It's been added to.
Which is great.
Which is great because that means there's more.
Oh, yeah.
There's double that now. It didn't start as 100.
Yeah. I think it was one person that made it, but then they, like, really encouraged everyone to add more.
Yeah.
In fact, the prompt that is on here says, remember as you add ideas that you are writing a story. Things that make both quests and novels interesting are falsities, imagery, and most importantly, options. Players can't just play along to what you say they should do. If they don't want to go and explore the castle, they don't have to. And it's just basically like, create these story prompts so that your campaign can have interesting ideas and plot twists and things like that. So
I've seen plenty of bad, like, a list of D&D story plot hooks, and this is not a bad one.
No.
I've seen plenty that don't take that into account, and they're just like, the entire plot hook is, a man comes to town.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, well, I mean, I get that's like a thing. That's
I can do that part myself. I needed the next step.
Give me, like, interesting things.
Well, I have a really original idea. What if, like, your parents were killed by bandits? And now you have to adventure for revenge.
I think one thing I like about this is that they're actually not all of them are very, very specific. As you go on, some of the ones people have added are, like, hyper specific.
But sometimes delightfully so.
Yes, and I do want to get into that. So I'm just going to read the first one and last one as is currently on the D&D Wiki. So these are story prompts for maybe you're in the middle of a campaign or you're trying to get a campaign going, but this is something that can kind of inspire you, usually as a DM, to perhaps take the story in a new direction. I really like that they are decently open-ended, though, because it inspires you to be creative as to, like, why these things are happening. One of my favorite things Thomas, you do this a lot, is when we're just like, oh, we only have a little bit of time, our normal group isn't here, let's just do a quick one-off campaign. I will usually choose a few of these things to inspire me how the campaign is to go.
What I really like doing is specifically choosing maybe 2 or 3 and then forcing myself to say, how could these possibly be related?
Yeah.
Because it's a good exercise in imagination to say, like, 2 normal prompts that would on their own be pretty average, but what if they were somehow connected? What if one causes the other? And
often I will take prompts and I don't really go with what they say, but I allow it to inspire where the campaign ends up going. And usually because generally when I use these, the campaign is relatively improvised, so we don't end up following these kinds of things. But anyway, let me read some. So just the first one here. Vistaru, Lord of the Mountain, is attacking small towns surrounded by his kingdom in hopes of expanding his army before his assault on the capital. Great.
Just throws you right into the action.
Yep.
You don't have to come up with the political plot. It is there for you.
You got it.
And you could just start off that campaign that way and say that to your players, or you could be like, they're going to have to figure out who this is and what's going on.
The town you're in gets attacked, this is why this is going on.
There's enough little bits and pieces where you say, Lord of the Mountain. What can I do with that? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
My immediate thought is like, a dwarf. This is a dwarf kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever done a conquering dwarf kingdom before? If not, that's an interesting idea. Maybe I haven't seen. I'll try that.
What if it was like a giant?
What if it's a giant kingdom?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be very cool.
Or you could do like a Mount Olympus kind of thing where they're like, there's a perfectly normal mountain, but we don't go up there because there's an evil...
Because Vistaru lives at the top in his golden temple.
Yeah.
And it's just him.
Yeah.
We can see him from here. It's weird.
He's very shiny.
Okay, and then So some of these are way more simple and very, very fun, and I love this. So 198, a floating head needs help finding his body.
Nice.
It's so good.
That's so fun.
I had a. We may still go back to this one day, so I don't know if I want to, but we will talk about. I had read that one previously, and I had an idea during a campaign that went on in a desert of finding a head sticking out of the sand, like those,
Like the buried
like
people.
yeah, like you bury somebody up to their neck and then leave them to die, and then being like, "Hey, get me out of here!" And then you try to dig them out, and you realize it's just a head,
And you
and
just
you're
like pick
"What?"
them up.
And they're like, "Yeah, my body's over in that cave over there," and then they start rolling on the sand towards the cave, and you're all like, "That's not the way I thought that would go."
What is happening?
Here's another fun one. It's 197 right above it. A bumbling, absent-minded wizard with a fondness for dangerous experiments wants your party to tidy up his improperly messy tower.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Yes. See, you could be, caught in all of the, accidental traps he has created. But see,
the
that's...
rogue steals everything.
But see, that's fun because you're just supposed to go clean up this guy's mess. That's a great
That's
prompt.
That's a classic fantasy narrative with the bookish character going into the library to clean up, and then they find the mystical tome that has all the secrets.
Yeah.
And
And they steal it.
And
run
the
away.
more suspicious character goes to the room that he said not to go into when
Yeah.
they were cleaning, and there's something there he should not have seen.
Yeah,
Please don't go in there. Why?
because I
It's
don't
just-
want. This is my house.
I sleep there. It's just, I do
Where
have
I keep
private...
all my nudes.
Basically.
My self.
I draw them myself. I have a long mirror with many scrolls.
Anyway.
Something I'd love to do with this, Bean, is I'd love for us to pick two at random, and then all of us together come up with a way that they could be.
Okay,
connected.
let's
do
All
it.
right,
Yeah.
ready?
Mm-hmm.
Activate dice roll. 200
Oh, okay.
is the first one. Yeah, ticka 200. Thank you.
A plane of existence that is one large prison has had a breakout in a very small wing, and the party is hired as bounty hunters to find these creatures.
Whoa.
That's very
That's
cool.
awesome.
So you're an entire
You're
plane
going
of
to,
existence that is a mega prison
going to-
for maybe interdimensional
Yeah.
criminals.
You're going to the Alcatraz
Yeah.
of
Okay.
So I'm
fantasy
picturing this being maybe a
prisons.
higher level,
Yeah.
a higher
yeah,
tier
definitely.
campaign.
That's
If you're
very cool.
plane swapping on people.
Yeah, they just have
Or is it a low level thing, and they just didn't want to send their best soldiers in, and you are not really informed
you're the
how
Suicide
bad
Squad.
you are not informed how bad the prison is, and that's one of the things that you have to discover as you go into it, and you're like, shoot. So you have to get these higher level prisoners inside the prison to help you out.
Yeah, you have to start making your gang in the prison to be
Yeah.
look, this guy, he's very powerful. We need him on our side, and he's a planetar who's fallen from grace and has a metal arm.
But your party can love him still because
Yeah,
he's in
yeah.
there for a non-violent defense. It's
Yeah, you
just-
have to make sure that he's in there for
his
loitering.
society has unreasonably high penalties.
Yeah, the babies were dead when he got there.
Oh,
What is he gonna
Oh,
do?
no.
Not eat babies?
Okay, what's our other number?
39.
39.
I'm sorry. Tigga. 39.
Thank you.
Tigga.
Jeez, that's a that was a dice.
One of the party members is offered a slave girl
Ah,
as a reward for a job well done. Another character... Oh,
No.
this is stupid.
I'll re-roll.
This
It's
is
fine.
another character demands they let her go. This is already... You just shouldn't do that
you can't
as
have
a player.
built-in party
Character
conflict.
Yeah.
And-
87. Let's try that.
87.
Let's try that one. 87.
During a break from traveling in a big city, this girl is the head of a fashion magazine? Oh, no, sorry.
Why did you say it that way?
Because it said in the big city, which just reminded
Okay.
me of the rom-com
Let's
stuff.
go. Come on, what do we got?
That's very good.
Break from traveling in a big city, the party wakes up to find all of the city's inhabitants missing and the gates locked.
Guys!
We used this.
You did fine. You guys have done a game where I did that. But how can we tie this into the first one? Everyone in the city is gone when you wake up, and all the gates are locked. And our other one is another dimensional prison?
Okay, so everybody think to yourselves how you're gonna fuse these.
So, I think just immediately off the bat, kind of two different directions you could branch into is either you say, the interdimension, like there's a prison and all the doors are locked and all the guards are still there, but they woke up one day and it was empty. Figure out what happened. Where did all our prisoners go?
Oh, the prison was the same.
Yeah, but and that,
Okay,
and I
okay,
think
okay,
that's an
okay.
interesting, because it's just taking inspiration.
I like that a lot.
And I think that'd be really cool. I think another option would be you wake up one day, or your party maybe comes across a city where the gates are locked, but the city's completely empty, and as you wander around, you're seeing like wanted posters of like this criminal
I
escaped.
like that one.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, what did this mega interdimensional criminal do that this entire city like vanished
Ooh.
overnight?
Yeah.
I was leaning towards that, but while you were talking, it gave me an idea. So there's on the other dimension there is a breakout.
Yep.
And the guards go looking for him,
Mm-hmm.
and they find his last known location was this town.
Mm.
But the creatures that have escaped are all shapeshifters.
Ooh.
So they have to take everyone in
The whole
town
town.
just in case they're the guy.
Ooh.
And they have to find a way to
Uh-huh.
triage them out.
I
All right,
love
just
it. I love
moonbeaming everybody.
Yeah.
Just sweep that around.
See, I was thinking real simple, just like, well, this town is just near one of the portals that gets you into the prison, so they just evacuated everyone just to make them feel safe.
Boo!
Fair
People
enough.
don't just leave towns. Aliens kidnap them every time.
Yeah,
All right.
I wasn't very creative.
Speaking of aliens kidnapping them, that leads right into what I was thinking. One of my favorite, and I feel like underused monsters in D&D are the Modrons. The Modrons are a series of weird, sprightly little
Like
ro-
robot things?
clockwork
Kinda.
flesh creatures,
Yeah.
but they're silly, is the thing. They're very non-monstrous. Like, they're kind of grotesque in a way, but they're also sort of cute in their
They're
own
like
way.
sort of grotesque steampunky boys.
And they sort of do that thing where they're from the plane of Mechanus, which is like the true neutral, governs how...
Isn't it like lawful neutral or something?
Oh, is it lawful neutral? It might be lawful neutral.
Would probably be lawful, yeah.
Yeah, lawful neutral. It governs how like the world and universe functions at a base level. So they like how gravity works is guarded by Mechanus because the math needs to make sense or the universe explodes. But it's a machine. Like it's all like the universe is a grand machine. So the weird thing is that every year the Modrons go on the Modron Parade. This is in the monster manual. You can look this up. Do we have a monster manual right here?
If we
yeah.
don't, I would be ashamed of this room.
Let's pause for a
I'm
second.
just imagining the
while I pull this up.
electrical parade from
It's
Disneyland.
pretty much that.
Disneyland. You know, the house of the squirrel.
The house
I will
of
House
tell
of-
you.
The land of the Michael the House Squirrel.
Squirrel.
People that are just listening to this for the first time are like, what the hell are they
Yeah, oh
talking
no,
about?
you'll just have to go back and listen to all our previous
Ooh,
episodes.
I guess you'll just have to give us more views.
And they're like, I am not going back to understand what Michael the House Squirrel is.
Okay. So let me just read you a bit
They're
about
so
Modrons.
cute.
They're very weird. I'll put up in post. We'll put up an image.
I love that.
They're weird little boys. Like I don't know if you guys can see.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love the
They're
round
strange.
boy.
They bother me greatly.
Yeah,
on
they
a
do.
visual
They're
level.
pretty unsettling, but that's kind of the point. I know we're really diving into this, and we're gonna
Maybe
move
this will
on
be a
soon.
two-parter.
We'll see if we cut this out or not. But the Great Modron March, when the gears of Mechanus complete 17 cycles, once every 289 years, Primus, the god of Mechanus, sends a vast army of Modrons across the outer planes, ostensibly on a reconnaissance mission. The march is long and dangerous, and only a small number of Modrons return to Mechanus. I think there's a little bit more about it in the DMG, talking about the plane of Mechanus. But essentially what they do is they go on this grand march where they... Picture this. You're in a field. You're a farmer. You have a sheep next to you. You hear... And then a parade of these horrible clockwork creatures walks by with clipboards, looking at everything. And they look at your sheep, and they go, oh, no, this cannot be, no. And then they move it to 3 inches to the left, and they go, the order is restored! And they go, and then they all disappear. They're insanity beings, and they're, like, completely unknowable and inscrutable. So how does this tie into our quest?
That is the question.
The town has committed a great crime in the eyes of Mechanus.
Ah.
Everyone in the town is guilty of this crime. This crime is something very dumb. This crime is a thing that you show up and the Modrons are like, well, I mean, they were all using spoons. And you're like, uh-huh.
They weren't supposed to be
That's not allowed. And you just, what? Yes, we have absconded with them for their crimes. We have put them in the highest institution. We have put them in maximum security with the other great offenders. And you have to go to break out the entire town from this horrible clockwork prison where everyone in there is like, I was born on a Tuesday, please let me out. Please, no! And it's just things that make no sense, but to Mechanus, all of these are perfectly understandable. And
like
if these...
They're preventing butterfly effects.
And these things, if not prevented, would have caused the end of the universe. But you're just like lost in this horrible like MC Escher maze of a prison where there's like the stairs on the ceiling and the floor and the walls all in different directions.
Like that scene from Labyrinth.
And you're trying to have a breakout, but of an entire city. Not just like one dude or like a cell.
Or like 5 of you.
Hundreds of people, all in one cell. Just like an unknowably large cell. And the Modrons are always coming by in like seemingly random intervals, but they have a perfect system that they have set out. Where it's like, no, it is once every other 738 cycles except on Fridays, because this is how the universe must work.
And you as a party have to learn the system so you can break it.
Exactly.
Because if you don't know it, they catch you every time.
Yeah.
Well, and does your releasing all of these innocent people essentially
cause horrible
weird
catastrophes?
Stuff? Like you let them go and then just like stuff gets real weird on Earth and you gotta like, or not Earth, whatever, the Forgotten Realms, but then you gotta like fix it.
You go back and like, we saved the day, and then the sky is purple now. And you're like, why is that happening? And then just, oh no. Oh no, this is bad.
Well, yeah, is it that there are actually
the
like,
end times are upon us?
Like serious crazy consequences
Yeah.
that you have to like deal with but that are kind of fun? Or is it like you come back and like you feel like grass might be a slightly brighter shade of green now? But like that seems to be it. Like, but the Modrons are like, no, and they're just like smoking and breaking.
Or it's like serious consequences that like the descendants of these people will cause, like a rush at the banks that will crash the economy of whatever country they're in, and then like then thousands upon thousands of people now starve to death because you saved this town.
Yeah. It's so cool.
Yeah, I definitely saw all that in those 2 prompts as well.
That's what I'm saying, is that these prompts are great because you can find the weirdest stuff to justify why these 2 things. You don't ever have to go with the first answer.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes it'll be like, a Dark Lord is invading the town. A dark army of the undead is attacking the town. You're like, oh, I see how those are related. Got it.
Or are they opposing dark forces?
Yeah, but maybe you go as weird with it as you want. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I love it when you're like, these 2 things obviously fit this way, but what if I made them fit in a wrong way? And then you mash them together.
I'm going to throw in one last slightly weird thing. This is number 84.
Number-
Strange, glowing runes appear on the door of the town hall, forming a riddle. The first time I read that, as we were talking, I thought it said forming a ride. Like a little mini roller coaster.
I also like that interpretation.
Just on the steps of the town hall.
It's just the Peter Pan sit down ride, and it just takes you through the book.
Let's see.
Wait. We can tie this back in, guys. We can tie this back in. The riddle was left by the Modrons, and it's actually just the like official form they must leave when they abscond with a town. But it is written in like unknowable language.
Just eldritch symbols.
Like, what is this? And like, look, it says
It's just
town committed crimes must arrest. It's very simple. Like, no. I know this. This says when the purple jellyfish rises at dawn. Like, oh well, yes. But the literal meaning is this.
It's just a tax form.
Yeah.
They
It's
just
so
posted their.
boring. I'm just
tax
imagining,
form.
like, you know the math chalkboard they put up in every movie that always has, like, the Pythagorean theorem drawn out and just,
Also-
like, X.
Yeah, and also like math professors in movies are always using the whole board. They never erase anything.
They just keep pulling down more chalkboards.
And they always write E equals MC squared, even though that's a
Somewhere.
physics thing, and
Yeah.
it's not
It's
a math.
gotta be on the board.
It's gotta be there.
You know why? It's because they just asked some like set decorator day player, "Hey, fill up this chalkboard. We're filming in an hour," and they were like, "Ugh."
And they're like,
math.
the only thing I know about math is Donald in Mathmagic Land, and they just like pull all the graphics that he like thinks about when
Yeah,
he's trying
yeah.
to do math. Okay.
If you guys read through this list, I'll tell you, my magic tricks will be revealed, and you'll see every plot I've ever had in a D&D
Yeah.
campaign somewhere in this
So
list.
that's the thing. One of the reasons I chose this is I didn't pick my thing very promptly, so I just needed something I was familiar with, and we use this all the time.
It's a great read.
It's so good, and the thing is we very rarely ever use exactly what it says. I will probably use one thing a little bit more literally, and then the couple others. I mean, you do a fun thing, Thomas, where you have every one of the campaigns, you're like, pick a number between 1 through 205, and we all get to like choose a number that like influences the campaign.
You know why you found that giant? Because he picked 37. Yeah.
And you don't need to worry about if, but we've done a campaign based on the 37th prompt before. So interpret it a new way this time. Like, that encourages the creativity. Like, oh, really? You're only ever going to play one campaign with, like, a Dark Lord in it? Like, figure out a new way to interpret that.
I mean, let's say you've already had glowing runes that form a riddle. Now they form a ride. And like, you're just like, screw it, it's a ride this time. And that's a cool way to take
like
the prompt.
Goosebumps style, the party is trapped on like a haunted ride and they have to, a roller coaster, and they have to figure out how to get off.
Yeah.
I want to
but
get
see,
off
honestly,
Mr.
even
Daniels'
if you're just
wild
like,
ride.
I'm going to actually just literally change a word in here. I'm just going to make my own typo and just like figure it out. That's a great way to change these kinds of things.
I will often just say like, oh, you're being attacked by orcs. No, it's dragons. I changed it. Like, but it has spurred in you some kind of an idea. It's a starting point to work from.
It's kind of like, especially if you need inspiration to use this, it's kind of like asking someone, you know, do I want a sandwich or do I want a cheeseburger or something like that? And then they tell you what they think you should have, and then you go, and then that prompt helps you realize what you wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of a weird relation, but it's like, you're like, I don't know what to do for the campaign. Yeah, but I don't want to do just boring orcs. I'm going to make it dragons. Ooh, but why would dragons be? And then that gets the juices flowing.
It kind of ties into the artist paradox as well, which is, as an artist, you're like, I can create anything. So I'll stare at a blank canvas not knowing what to create. But when you draw a line on the canvas that you have to work with now, you'll make something. You'll make something. Something will happen. Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, that was my thing. That is once again 100 adventure ideas. It is actually 205.
100 adventure ideas, parentheses, D&D other, close parentheses.
And I will say, I don't think this is necessarily for 5th edition specifically, but like...
No, it's just general.
And I will throw it out there, you could use this for any role-playing game, or you could also use it if you're just a writer in general. These are probably some great story prompts. Like, great story prompts. And if you don't want to use these, there are a lot of story prompt generators out there for screenwriters and playwrights and novelists, and you could probably just use any of those kinds of ideas to give you inspiration. Find all different kinds of things that give you inspiration.
Definitely. Yeah, I love to use this, and it's one of the best ones I've found, because I've looked at other prompt makers and things, and I highly recommend this list. It's a great list. Add to it if you want to. If you're a D&D Wiki contributor, add some more to this. Always growing is always better. More things, more new ideas. Keeps it interesting. Let's move on.
All right.
Mercy, you're up.
Yeah, I have brought a roguish archetype. So this is from Reddit, from the Unearthed Arcana Reddit, and it is by user QA-test. QA test. So this is the roguish archetype, Secret Santa.
Okay.
And I love this. I think it's so clever and so funny. So let's just dive right in here to these abilities. So at 3rd level, the rogue gains the roguish archetype feature. The following option is available to a rogue in addition to those offered in the player's handbook. Secret Santa. Secret Santas are initiates of a clandestine elven organization.
Yes.
I love that it wasn't just Santa either. They like made
There
it
is
go
a
with the world.
horde, an
A
army
guild.
of them.
Oh yeah, there's more than one. Elven organization dedicated to peace and goodwill by any means necessary.
We will teach them our peaceful ways
By force!
Yeah, exactly. Members of this group augment their skills with subtle magic and execute elaborate plans to distribute presents and coal to those who deserve them. Just as good children may find an unexpected treat in their pocket or in their homes, many an evil tyrant has woken up to find a lump of coal left by a secret Santa who infiltrated their lair.
Hold on, it said by any means necessary, but really what they do is just
Give gifts and coal.
give coal. You're like, you know what? Kim Jong-un has gone far enough. And they just put a piece of charcoal on his
Think
bed.
how bad you'd feel, you know?
I just
That
like
is-
the idea of your Dark Lord in your campaign waking up one day to a piece of coal under his pillow and really just self-reflecting.
Exactly.
That's more of a message than them kicking down your door and trying to kill you ever would be.
Am I the bad guy? No.
But if
Oh.
the Santas are secret, then they don't know. So they would just wake up and be like, our security isn't good enough. Double the guards. Double the regiment.
But they know the
I
legend.
think it's so funny to me. Like, it killed me when I read this for the first time that it was like, good children get treats. And then I was like, oh, and bad children get coal. No. Good little children get treats. But, like, the evil overlord of the kingdom, like, gets
Gets
coal. Like, that was so funny to
I love
me.
See,
What
I would
are-
love to play this as a character, as a player character, because then every time anyone in town does something like dickish, you're just like,
You're
I
writing
need-
your list.
yeah.
You're
Yeah,
checking it
guys,
twice.
And you, what if, like, because you can send letters to Santa, what if you can, like, they're like a guild, like a secret, like,
you can send a letter
like you
to
can do
this.
the Black Sacrament or whatever. Like you can send a letter to the secret Santas, and they will like bring coal to this
Mhm.
person.
But
All the tieflings are in the Krampus division.
Uh,
They specialize in coal.
They have a switch, and they will not only leave a
They're
lump of coal.
they're the dishonored secret Santa sect.
They're like,
That gets sent away.
it's not
Is
enough
there-
to leave a piece of coal. You gotta beat him with a switch, and you're like, whoa.
is there a halfling/gnome Yule Lads division?
No.
100%.
If you guys want to know about the Yule Lads, just search Drawfee on YouTube. Yule Lads.
Yeah,
they're a
they're a
great
great channel.
channel. You guys should check them out.
Trannel.
Trannel.
Or a great channel.
Speaking of podcasts better than ours.
They're a great channel. You should really check them out. Speaking of podcasts better than ours, Bean, you're correct.
I'm correct. That's the first time you've said that.
I think this was a past life, perhaps.
Ah, I see.
What are some of the abilities of this roguish archetype?
So your third level abilities, you get 2, are Toy Maker. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you gain proficiency in 2 sets of artisan's tools of your choice. Makes sense.
Nice.
I like it.
White Elephant. Starting at 3rd level, you learn that it is better to give than to receive.
That's when you learn it at 3rd
That-
level.
that-
You
yeah, you-
cannot have learned it previously in
Yes.
order to take the class.
I'm sorry, most of this is just gonna be me laughing.
It's okay.
Yes,
Oh,
that
gosh.
that is when you learn that. You can use the bonus action granted by your cunning action to make a dexterity sleight of hand check. You have advantage on these checks if you are attempting to leave an object somewhere.
This ties into my favorite rogue idea, which is the rogue
the
that's...
switch pocket.
Yes, Snuggly Bubbins.
Snuggly Bobbins,
Who
yes.
just picks things up and puts them other places. Sometimes they're gold, sure, but other times they're just things he finds.
He doesn't
And
keep
he
any
doesn't
of it.
necessarily keep them, he just puts them in another location.
Yeah.
Any location will do. He'll take a wallet from your pocket, but then he'll just put it in someone else's.
Yeah, he's our favorite. He's really not tied down by
Oh, hi,
possessions.
I'm Snuggly. Hello, I'm Snuggly Bubbins. Oh, I don't steal nothing. I never keep it. I just put it somewhere else.
I'll just move it about. Sometimes it has unforeseen consequences.
When I moved the king's crown jewels to the other kingdom, I thought it'd be a good laugh. Lots of people died. I do regret that.
Because, yeah, rogues always are just like, haha, I'm gonna be a kleptomaniac, how original. Well, I love that this is twisting that. If you make a successful sleight of hand check to leave a potion, poison, or other consumable item in a creature's pockets or in contact with its body, you can choose to have the item affect the creature as if it had consumed it. The item then disappears.
Oh, so this took a left turn.
That took a mechanical
know.
turn into power.
I think that that part of that ability is the one that stands out the most from all the others to me. Like it seems the most.
I'll just slip this haze
Like,
potion in your pocket.
it raises an eyebrow.
It also flavor-wise, it's clearly talking about like, oh, you can just poison someone or some stuff like that. But it also doesn't inhibit itself from just being like, oh, you slipped them milk and they drank it?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Through their skin?
You put a berry in their pocket and they're like, whoa, what was that?
Why am I eating berries?
Why do I taste berries?
Like, I'm not entirely sure what the flavor intent is. That part I think is a little bit odd.
I would have called it stocking stuffers.
Ooh, that works. But White Elephant is a nice reference.
We're all nodding.
White Elephant would be like, if you find treasure, you can just swap it out for like a different treasure.
But in a round system where like everyone rolls initiative and you get to swap with someone, but they can steal.
It's like a wild magic table, but it's just random items.
Yeah, I love it. And you're just like, I don't like this gold. I want to try and steal a new one. You roll on the table and just in your hands appears just like a broadsword.
Just like
I like
socks or sometimes
some
it's like
comfy
sometimes
socks.
it's worse.
Yeah.
I like socks.
Socks are better. What are you talking
okay, wow.
about?
We're all adults.
Yeah. So your next ability, detect naughty and nice. Very flavorful.
Yeah.
Starting at 9th level, you are able to judge at a glance whether a creature has been naughty or nice. How good is that?
This is the one time where I'm like, you have 100% permission to not use the normal language that D&D would use.
Well, they actually do a good job in this, though, of saying that sentence flavorfully.
Is correct.
Yes.
Well, and they say that. They say you can judge what's naughty or nice, but then they do explain it in the language after, which is really good.
But they're not necessarily saying, like, good versus evil. It's just like,
naughty and nice.
Naughty and nice.
Yeah, but then they do clarify within the terminology of D&D right after that. They say, as an action, choose one creature you can see within 60 feet of you. You immediately learn that creature's alignment if it has one.
Mm-hmm.
If a creature is hidden from divination magic, you sense that the creature's alignment matches your own.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Which,
okay.
what would that normally be?
You
like,
could just...
This is another kind of, like we talk about in our alignment episode. This seems to be a little bit of a holdover from older editions, because literally detect good and evil, the spell,
that is a spell,
used to detect evil creatures of alignment. So if you had an evil rogue in the party, anytime you tried to detect evil, it would go off and point to him, and stuff like that. And so this is kind of a reference to that, where you detect someone's naughty or niceness and their alignment, and then if they're obscured by divination, then you get wrong results.
Yeah.
Well, and that's my only question then, does it make the most sense for the alignment to reflect your own, or just to say that it's neutral, or just to it is wrong?
Well,
you know?
Because I think this is phrased in this way I think I see where they were trying to go with it, is if you go, I try to detect their alignment, and you just go, you didn't, then they're hiding something. If you go, wait, he's like me, he could be hiding something. Or he could just be like me.
Kind of like the terminology of just naughty and nice, because anyone that has a rogue in their party who claims to be good and is chaotic good to a fault will know that you can be good and still be, like, very naughty. And I think that that is a... I think that that's an important distinction. And I almost wonder if it would be interesting to have it shift away from alignments. And I know it gets tough with the language, but you could get a sense, like maybe you could get a sense of their recent and current intent, whether it is generally considered naughty or generally considered nice.
I think I like having it be specific, because I think that having the specificity of the alignment actually frees you up to make that choice as the player. Because if you are playing a lawful Secret Santa, and you pick up that they're like chaotic good, you might deem that naughty.
You might be like, no,
Fair
no,
enough.
you
But-
are the naughty boy.
Or maybe you're neutral good and it doesn't matter to you either way.
But then a lawful evil character, you're like, well, at least you're lawful. So
At least you're following
you
the
get a
rules.
present.
Yeah. So I think that actually, I think I agree. I totally agree with the result of what you're talking about.
Mhm.
But I think that actually the best way to get it is to have it be specific alignments, so that you as a character can then decide how you feel about that.
Fair enough, rules and all that. I just hate rules.
So then your next ability is Wish List. Starting at 13th level, you gain the ability to learn a creature's desires.
Oh boy.
Because, you write letters to Santa saying what you
Mhm.
want. As an action, choose one creature you can see within 60 feet of you. You immediately learn what item that creature desires most at the moment, which is key.
Oh, so it's a specific object.
Well, it says this can be either a specific object, such as the Hand of Vecna, or a general category, such as a pony or a stiff drink.
but it is still
Eggplant
it's an
emoji.
object.
it's
It's
still
not
a
like-
thing.
forgiveness.
Yeah, like I need to avenge my father.
It's something you could theoretically give them.
And I
Mhm.
like that in a moment it could be that you go to the like evil overlord and you're like, I can sense what he's looking for. We'll know what the weapon is that he's been seeking. Maybe he's thinking about that weapon in the moment. Maybe he's thinking about like how hungry he is or how bad he needs to go to the bathroom. In that moment,
The
that
great
is-
weapon. It's a ham sandwich. It's in the other room.
Yeah, but like I love that it specifies in the moment
That
because
must be.
that makes it not be such like a nebulous concept.
Yeah, I like it.
And then our final ability is Holiday Spirit. At 17th level, nothing can stop you from spreading holiday cheer.
Nothing.
You gain the following benefits.
I wish that was their comma nothing
Nothing.
exclamation mark.
You gain resistance to fire damage and to damage from traps because you come down the fireplace.
Ayo.
You count as being one size smaller for purposes of squeezing into tight spaces because you come down the fireplace.
Mhm.
You can use the bonus action granted by your cunning action to consume a potion, cookie, or glass of milk.
I was right.
I love that it makes it useful because that actually is useful to consume a potion as a bonus
Mhm.
action in combat.
Mhm.
But then also you could just eat some cookies during combat. Like
Yeah.
that'd be fine.
I use my bonus action to eat a cookie.
Checks out.
See, I'm just loving imagining the world of having a character in this where you're just the rogue is suddenly they're in the bar and they're like, I just want to observe the bar a bit, and everyone's like, oh, come on. And he's like, does anyone seem naughty? And they're like, have you look? And they're like, all right, I'm gonna sneak over and I want to palm a lump of coal in his pocket, and everyone's just like, stop, dude, stop. You always
You
do
have a
this.
problem.
important.
Like we have, and he's
Also,
like,
while I'm walking away, I want to drink all this milk real quick.
as a bonus action, I eat a cookie.
One of his cookies disappeared.
Well, I like that it in no point did it tell you like how benign or violent you had to be. It just said by any
You
means
can be
necessary.
any, yeah, you can be any alignment
Mhm.
and be this class, which is
Yeah.
an important staple of
Mhm.
classes in 5th edition.
It's well
you
done.
need to be able to be any alignment.
Like this is so silly and funny, but it's actually very well executed. They do
I-
a good job.
I find it, yeah, it is very good for a social based character. A lot of the abilities are based around that.
Oh yeah,
As far as combat,
nothing.
not really that effective, except for that capstone ability at 17, which it does, like, if we're treating this as like something someone would play in a campaign, you gain resistance to fire damage and to damage from traps. Now, resistance to damage from traps is interesting because it can be kind of hard to determine what is a trap. Is a trap, there's a sinkhole under the ground? I mean, it's treated like a trap.
But nature
Oh,
did
is
that.
the
It
trap
wasn't-
But that
an
happens
ambush?
naturally. Is the trap an ambush? Or do you have resistance to intent to trap?
Mm.
Like,
Like
do you
throw
do
a
you
net at
have
you
do you
and-
have resistance to fireball things? But if an actual jar of oil fell over and lit on fire on accident, and that wasn't part of anyone's idea, do you not have resistance to that or whatever? You know.
That brings up some weird corner cases. Can you guys picture a chaotic, evil Santa
Oh
Claus
yeah,
who must enact his horrible vengeance on the world to punish the sins
the naughty.
of those that have wronged him personally,
So, I
but
was
send gifts to those who have like benefited him personally?
I was part of like a Christmas themed campaign around the holidays, and I remember someone was like talking to my character, and my character wasn't like from that normal setting. They were far traveler, they didn't know all the traditions, and they were talking about Santa Claus, and my character was like, oh yeah, I've heard of him. He's like a demon, right?
He like eats children.
And everyone
right?
was like, whoa, no. And I was
Thinking
like,
of
yeah,
Krampus.
because I've heard, no, not thinking of Krampus.
There's like some.
They mentioned that. They were like, no, I think you're thinking of Krampus. And I was like, no, I've heard all the stuff you guys say about Santa, how he like watches you in the nighttime and he like keeps a list of the people that he needs to exact like punishments on.
He sounds like he's from the Nine Hells.
Yeah, I was like, I assumed he's some sort of like demon character. You know, he may or may not be real, but I figured he was sort of a boogeyman type character that people were using to like punish their
He
children.
knows when you're awake.
Yeah.
He sees you when you're sleeping.
And see, it kind of got everyone
better
thinking
watch
about like,
You better watch out.
you better watch out.
You better watch out.
But I like that idea of like, at any means necessary, there is a Santa that is like, I watch people in the night. I am hyper vigilant. I am, you know, I will do whatever it takes.
I am the night.
Yeah, a little bit the Batman of Christmas.
The Batman of Christmas.
That's the title of this episode.
It is, though. That's amazing. My parents were killed by a naughty man. I trained
No.
my entire life to enact vengeance
And now I give people the lumps of coal.
that they deserve.
They are black like my heart.
I
Also,
am the
you
Santa.
have gone so far past a Batman impression, it's
I am the Santa
unrecognizable.
that this city needs, but not the one it deserves.
I am the Santa that this Christmas needs.
I have to say though, I do love the art because he is just
Oh, it's
holding
so
a sword.
good.
Sort of just
So-
like a cool Russian
yeah.
warrior.
Shout out to Gregory Manchester because that's great art. I
mean,
love it.
The art and the description a little bit kind of gives me Rise of the Guardians Santa vibes, because
Mhm.
he's like total badass, tatted out
Yeah.
Santa Claus that is like way more barbarian-esque kind of vibe. And I totally love the freedom that this archetype gives you, that you can create your own secret Santa within the... You are not Santa, you are a member of an organization that is Santa-like. So you can explore whatever your version of a secret Santa would be.
Where's Rudolph? Where is he? Tell me where he is. Oh, hell yeah. Rudolph is either in this warehouse.
Oh my gosh. Stop.
No! No!
Is he at the North Pole? Or the South
Do you want to know which of your friends is naughty? Or which is nice?
We've officially gone down the rabbit hole. There is no coming back from this.
Ooh.
I gotta say though, I mean, if you want to play, if you like this idea, but you're like, but there aren't a ton of like as useful abilities that besides just being like fun and flavorful, you could just be a thief rogue or some other type of rogue and just decide that you think you're Santa and just choose to like
You have
cut hole and-
delusions of Santahood.
Yeah. Like,
No,
you could still play this flavor with different mechanics.
This is just the Santa Claus, the movie with Tim Allen, where
Yes.
you're slowly becoming the Santa, but everyone just thinks you're insane. You're like, no, it's real, I swear.
Guys, this is just a new version of lycanthropy for D&D.
Oh no.
So
Where's Santa?
you start as like a different type of a rogue, but you just start like that movie, just
You're
becoming
infected
Santa,
with the
and
Christmas spirit.
gradually the DM can just start giving you some of these abilities as you become the Santa.
You look at that man and you get a weird impulse about him. He needs to be punished. You look down in your hand and you see a lump of coal.
As a bonus action, would you like to drink some milk?
guys, so I did
Yes,
DM a campaign
Of Santas.
where someone wanted to be Santa.
Okay.
And we didn't have anything. So what we ended up doing is they were a furbolg, a big jolly furbolg with a guild artisan background for tinkering, for toy making, and things like that. And they were a Way of the Shadows monk.
Oh, okay.
And he's just constantly carrying around a bag of toys, and he would use his monk abilities to break into people's houses. Because at a certain point, the shadow monks can just teleport into other shadows they
Yeah.
can see. So if he can see into somebody's window, he can teleport there.
And put all the presents under the
And
tree.
just put all their presents and then just teleport away.
We've been thinking about this Santa Batman the wrong way. He's obviously the Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Quickly, Ranger! To the sleigh!
I do think that that is what this subclass is missing, is he needs to have an insane fly speed.
No, he just gets a
nuts.
magic... No, you just reflavor a magic carpet as a magic sleigh, and you just give it to the party.
I like to imagine this Santa just whoosh, just soaring through the air around the whole world. in one
Superman
night.
style.
Just so fast.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we do have some of the sneaking abilities. I think that the ability for him to like break into people's houses more, I think that could be a fun. Give him a little bit more of the sneaky rogue abilities,
Yeah.
but Santa flavored.
You could do like a is it a ranger spell? Tree stride?
Oh yeah. That's a
I don't know if
druid.
rangers
It's a
ever get
druid
that.
spell.
Druid spell. Is it a druid spell?
Does he have fire?
Yeah.
Well, there's
stride?
tree stride, and then there's transport via
No.
via plants.
This would just be like tree stride, but it would be chimney stride. And if he enters one end of any chimney, he can come out in any other chimney within like a 60-foot radius.
It's sort of like a flue powder kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he can also be on the rooftop and then like go to get in the chimney, and you just, instead of literally passing through it, it's like a teleportation spell where that chimney allows him to access the home. Yeah.
That's very good.
Like how you can just walk into a tree and then walk out of a different tree.
You could like come up with plenty of other buffs to give this if you wanted to,
Mhm.
like animal
He's already buff
handling.
enough.
Or,
Look at that
okay.
image.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
This is fantastic.
Thanks, Mercy.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mercy.
You're welcome.
Oh no.
Are you appreciative of
I am ashamed of everything.
That's
Boo.
me.
Guys, we are really just
That-
going off the
that
rails
makes perfect.
tonight.
This is the first episode I feel like we're really hitting our stride.
Yeah, I mean, for those listening, we normally record sort of early afternoon. It's 12:30.
Yeah, that's not when we flourish. We're really best at night.
I need to go to bed so bad. Okay.
All right, we'll wrap this up.
Onog, what do you got for us?
All right, so I have brought us a player race, and as many of you know, I am on a quest to brew the unbrewable. I seek perfection but balance in all things, and I am looking into making the 3 Kreen race from Dark Sun.
Okay.
So,
For those who aren't familiar with the 3 Kreen race, bring us up to speed on it.
so the 3 Kreen appear. They are an insect-like humanoid race. They appear in the Monster Manual for 5th edition, but before they have been a player race before in previous editions for, I think it's called Dark Sun World.
Dark Sun.
Or it's its
Campaign
own
setting.
specific campaign setting where everything's a desert. It's kind of a magical apocalypse kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And 3 Kreen are just these nomadic bug desert people. And a lot of people loved playing them in Dark Sun, and so there has been a lot of people attempting to make 3 Kreen in 5th edition, and it never really quite gets there. I think there have been a few people, and some of these people I've picked 2 different submissions to D&D Beyond, and as I've been diving more and more into D&D Beyond and its homebrew section, it is very interesting. It's such a cool thing that if you have a D&D Beyond account, you can just start trying to make homebrew stuff.
For anyone to see.
But it's also interesting is that some of the submissions are not always complete or even thought about. One of the 3 Kreen submissions I looked at was just, it starts talking about how they live in the desert and it stops. There are no stats, there are no abilities. It was just that. So,
The pizza was burning and they had to stop.
the pizza was
right?
burning and they had to stop, and then they just didn't go back to it. But I found 2 different 3 Kreen builds that I was interested in.
Can we vote to change the name from 3 Kreen to Bug Boys?
If you want to,
Is that a racial slur against 3 Kreen?
I think that might be a racial slur.
All right, well then never.
This first one is brought to us by Bingus Bongus on D&D
no, it
Beyond.
isn't. Come on.
That's what the name at the bottom says.
They win
No.
best name of the episode.
I love that name.
Bingus Bongus.
He might be a cousin of mine.
Bingus,
So-
bangus, bongus, I don't wanna leave the congus. No.
How dare you? How dare you
Bingus,
invoke
bingus,
Danny
bongus, I'm
Kaye?
so happy in the jaundice.
John, no!
I have jaundice. Please send a doctor.
So I'm gonna skip over the physical descriptions and things like that. We're just gonna get right down to the nitty gritty.
Hit them numbers.
First of all, in this in the 3 Kreen traits, we are greeted by a wall of text. I think there's a little formatting issue. But then later on, we are greeted by the actual stats. For reference, 3 Kreen are humanoid bugs, and they have 6 limbs, as bugs often do. They have 4 arms and 2 legs. So this is where we get into the issue of people trying to homebrew them, and they run into problems, and we'll get to that in just a minute. So, ability score increase. Your dexterity increases by 1, and your wisdom score increases by 2. This seems fine. Especially in the monster manual, the highest 2 stats of the 3 Kreen are dexterity and wisdom, and when they do have spellcasters, they are often casting via wisdom.
Yep.
Age, it's very interesting. This is kind of in the monster manual. They don't live past 35. There has not been a 3 Kreen that is older than 35, because of the abilities that we'll go into later, they just burn out quickly.
Okay.
And they're like bugs. They make millions of them, and they live short lives, and they just keep having kids and stuff like that. Or let's skip size and stuff like that. So your base walking speed is 30. This seems normal. 3 Kreen in the monster manual have a base walking speed of 40, so maybe this could be bumped up a little bit. But we'll move on to that.
Do 3 Kreen have wings ever in the monster manual?
I don't believe they are ever depicted with wings.
The fuzzy boys or the crawly boys? They're more like an ant.
They're more like ants moving around.
Fly, yeah.
Now, there's an interesting formatting error on this one. It just says dark vision. Your insectoid sense gives you superior vision in dark and dim conditions. You can see in dim light as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. You can't discern color in darkness, only shades of gray.
It does not give a...
You will notice a distance is missing. So either this 3 Kreen have the best dark vision physically possible, or he just forgot to write 60 feet.
Probably that.
Exoskeleton. So 3 Kreen have a tough carapace. When you aren't wearing armor, your AC equals 13 plus your dexterity.
Sure.
Fine. Multiple limbs. So this is where people get tripped up, and this is where things start going off the rails more often than not. You have additional set of smaller arms. You may interact with an additional object or feature of the environment for free during your turn. You can carry one additional one-handed weapon using each of these extra arms, and you cannot use the versatile property of weapons carried in these extra arms. You cannot use these extra arms to initiate grapples or wear shields. These hands can be used for other tasks, such as opening doors, carrying torches, using... So
you have to bring it up?
I see.
So right now you run into the issue of, if we give them extra hands, and they're perfectly like the other hands,
do they have extra
Can he hold
do they have
4
extra
shields?
attacks? Can
Does
you
their
hold...
AC
Yeah,
go up that
yeah.
much?
Can you hold 4 shields? What can't you do? And so people have to be like, well, you can't hold real weapons with them, but you can hold small weapons, but because that wouldn't make sense if you couldn't, but then, but you can interact with them with the doors. And so when we get to the second one, I think they handled it a little more elegantly, because at a certain point, you have to make compromises. You can't just have, and they have extra arms, and so they get 5 attacks. You can't. Yeah. That's just not something you can give a race.
Yeah.
Things like that. Torpor. 3 Kreen cannot sleep. So instead of sleeping, you enter a torpid state, during which you remain fully aware of your surroundings. This is very similar to the elven ability of meditation, things like that. So that's fine. Now here's where we get to the unique aspects of 3 Kreen, even more so. You can speak, read, write, and write... this is actually wrong. You can speak, read, and write Common and 3 Kreen. The 3 Kreen language is composed mostly of clicking noises. It is relatively simple to understand, but it is difficult for members of other species to speak it. In most other situations like this, 3 Kreen are actually incapable of speaking Common.
Because they don't have
They
mouths.
don't physically have mouths. They
Mandibles.
just have the mandibles
That's
that make the clicking
a
noise.
huge deviation from how literally every other race works,
Yeah.
though, to say you can't speak the language that everyone can speak.
So basically,
I mean,
you become
Kenku.
the party Chewbacca. Yeah, and this isn't unheard of
That's
in
fair,
Kenku.
yeah.
You need someone to be able to translate your thoughts. I did a homebrew, a quick homebrew for a 3 Kreen who wanted to be in one of my first campaigns, and one of the other players happened to be a
Warlock.
A warlock with the patron, the old one patron. And they had the capability of communicating telepathically. So they would sit there, and what they ended up doing in the party is the 3 Kreen player would text the warlock player what he wanted to say, and he would just make the clicking noises. And then the warlock would say, "Oh, he wants us to go this way."
Love that commitment.
And they were committed to the bit, and the other party members started getting mad at the warlock because they thought he was just bossing the three Kreen around.
I was in this, and I didn't know that they were texting, so I just figured, I was like, either he's improving this, or he's just making up some BS and, like, saying for him.
Just to get what he wants.
I was like, dude, like, you can't just, like, make up what he's saying.
And then they
he showed me,
they've been
and he was like,
texting.
no, like, he texts me everything.
But, so that's an interesting workaround, and often what could be viewed as a negative to the race, to kind of justify giving them a little bit more overpowered things, because you literally can't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
And so with each of these races you need to recognize there's a give and take, an opportunity cost, so to speak. And then here we go, the last thing on this one is you have proficiency with the Gifka and the Chaka.
Mm-hmm.
These are exotic weapons traditionally used by three Kreen warriors. Basically the Chaka is a polearm. It's a slashing polearm, so it's just a halberd or something like that. It could be just treated as a halberd. And then the Chachka is a sword that you can throw. So when we go to the second one, this is made by Baldur.
Baldur, yeah. Like
on
Baldur
D&D Beyond.
himself, yes.
And so this one I'm just going to quickly go over just the differences. So this one, the ability scores are different. They get 2 dexterity and 1 constitution, so not unheard of for desert people.
Sure.
Let me see here. So they incorporate the standing leap of the three Kreen, which is
like a grasshopper.
Like a grasshopper, and this is an ability that three Kreen in the Monster Manual have, and other pseudo-playable races like the Grung have, where you can just jump 30 feet, and you can jump 30 feet forward and 15 feet high with or without a running start. You just, boom, you just go jumping. So that was untouched in the other one. Chameleon Carapace, this is an interesting one. I think I would balance this a little more. The three Kreen can change color of its carapace to match the color and texture of its surrounding. As a result, it has advantage on dexterity checks made to hide. Always. So I would probably rephrase this and probably rebalance it, because that in and of itself is very powerful.
Yeah.
You have to get a magical item that attunes to you to specifically get that ability. So I would just say you have proficiency in stealth checks, because you are slightly better at hiding, guaranteed, kind of thing. Insectoid appendages, you have extra pair of arms, allows you to use a bonus action to make a sleight of hand check or use an object action. This is the most common, well-regarded use of you have extra arms.
Instead of writing a novel.
Instead of writing a novel of what you can and cannot do with these extra arms, just say, you just got quick, tiny hands. You can use more objects than normal people can. And more often than not, it is also added in the parts on more official things like this, where it's just, you can hold objects in your smaller hands. You just can't wield weapons in them, because they're just not as dexterous as your real hands, kind of a thing.
Tiny doll weapons.
Yeah, they're just... You can wield those perfectly. They do negative damage and actually heal your enemies.
They do no damage, but you can definitely wield them.
The little swords that come in sandwiches, you can wield those.
The little, like, cutlasses they put in, like, fancy things when they're trying to be fun. Like, oh, it's, like, festive. And you're like, no, this is just a plastic sword in my sandwich.
I freaking love olive swords, okay?
So the next ability is you are acclimated to sandy desert terrain and are considerably comfortable in hot climates. So this is kind of the anti-Goliath ability, where they are used to high altitudes. Three Kreen are used to desert climates and things like that. Three Kreen don't sleep. Yada yada. We've seen that one before. And then languages. You can read and write Common and Three Kreen, but you can only speak Three Kreen. So a few of the other ones I looked at were giving things like you grew up in the desert, so you're good at survival. You have the standing jump. You move farther, and it's kind of everyone kind of picks something different that they want to focus on for the three Kreen.
Yeah.
And I have, like I've said, I am on a journey. I am on my own quest, so to speak, to find a balanced but encompassing 3-creen. Because there are even other abilities that the 3-creen have. They have poison bites in the monster manual. And that's more often than not the one that's always skipped
by the wayside.
And I would honestly agree with that. Because once you start adding, like, they have all of these abilities, extra movement, they can jump, they have natural armor, they can hide, and then they also have a natural poison weapon. It just starts getting too much.
Yeah, too many.
Other ones also recognize there are psionic 3-creen, which have the ability to innately cast spells using psychic powers.
So that was actually one thing I was going to add. I think it would be cute if, just as a single racial bonus, there is a cantrip or light spell that is unique to 3-creen because they have 4 arms. So they can do, like, casting movements that other creatures can't do. And so if there was a spell that only 3-creen can do because they get to use their...
Yeah, you need 4 arms for this.
Yeah, you need 4 arms for this.
You need somatic components and then another somatic component.
Yeah, and you need...
That would be kind of cool.
You need 4 arms, and it's just really, really simple. It's not OP, but it's just a 3-creen spell that only 3-creen can do.
But yeah, and it's not unheard of that a racial ability replicates abilities from classes like spell casting or things like that. Like, for instance, the dexterous extra arms that you can just use a sleight of hand check or use an object action. That's the thief's level 3 ability. Mm-hmm. But it's not unheard of that they would have this ability inherently. So maybe you don't get a lot of 3-creen
thieves.
Hi, welcome to our new podcast, 3-creen thieves.
But you probably won't get a lot of 3-creen thieves because of those redundant abilities. But maybe that doesn't matter. Yeah, things like that. Like,
do they have like a produce honey ability?
That would be the poison bite. So I'll still keep looking, and maybe we'll have to have a separate
3-creen side quest.
3-creen side quest.
You said you're on your own quest, so you'll have to do a side quest, but none of us can help.
I will just do it myself.
Everyone listen to the 4-hour podcast side quest
where Onog slowly going insane by himself in a room.
Onog locked in a phone booth. I'm in a glass box of emotion.
No, the podcast is us behind tinted glass commenting as we watch Onog try to build a 3-creen
class. Oh no, he's writing case with a letter K now. Case!
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
If you're looking for better material.
Best show on television.
Ooh.
Making
bold
claims.
Hot takes.
Yeah, so I've not found one that feels balanced that encompasses all the abilities, but maybe, like we talked about before, you have to recognize, why do you want to play a 3-creen? Why does anyone want to play a 3-creen? Do you like the nomadic, desert people aspect of it? Do you like the I'm just a jumpy bug boy? Is that why you're going for it?
3-creen monk just.
Oh, well, and that's the thing. Clicks, the 3-creen in my campaign, was his name. Mm-hmm. He was a 3-creen monk, and he could go so fast.
Oh my gosh, he dominated.
I had to just start poisoning him to just slow him down.
Did he often text to the warlock, "You're too slow"?
Almost. But, yeah, so I don't know where I wanted to go with this, but I think these are good tries. Yeah. But I think we can calculate them.
We can rebuild him.
A good space to start from, I think, because they share a lot of similarities. 3-creen share a lot of similarities with wood elves. So starting with that as a base, because wood elves get benefits to hiding, like 3-creen do. Wood elves have faster movement. Wood elves have weapon training, like 3-creen. So taking oftentimes a good base for starting with a race is looking at what other people have already done and just modifying it just a little bit.
A race base. Yeah, I think so. I think that whenever you're starting a homebrew, a great resource is to see what other people have done. A lot of the times, even if you think it's very unique, someone else has probably thought about it. Mm-hmm. I was the other day thinking, or I saw a post for a mime bardic college.
Nice.
Yeah. He has thought of nothing else since.
I stay up at night thinking of naught else but the painted faces of mimes.
You have to bring that
That's
next
the
time.
worst thing I've ever heard anyone say.
Maybe we'll do a side quest where I share the one that I made, because I immediately went, oh, I
Yeah.
can make one of these. But the thing is, after reading it, I went, oh, that's so cool. Why hasn't anyone ever made one of these before? 2 seconds later on Google, oh, there's 20 of these. Everyone's made one of these. And then I had a great time looking through all of them and finding out how all of them were wrong because they weren't what I would have done.
Well, I'm gonna do a bard thing that no one has done. The bard school of the hibachi chef.
Yeah,
Like the guys from Benihana.
yeah.
And that's what you do. And it's late, so no one else is finding it funny. That's why.
I'm
that's
finding
why.
it very funny. It's the like energy to laugh that I lack.
That is actually a really great idea, though, and I like it a lot.
Okay.
I was thinking the other day about like just general performing arts that haven't been represented as bards yet.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will pick things. I'm like, wait, no, that's just performance art. That's a bard. Like a card trick based subclass. You'd think, oh, a wizard, right? They do magic tricks. No, that's a bard, okay? No wizard is like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, pick a card, any card. That's a bard right there,
Yeah.
okay?
But, I mean, I think a good thing to take away from this is there is nothing wrong, and it is encouraged to pull inspiration from things that already exist, especially if they are more official, because then that way you are basing your creations in things that are okay, in rules that work. What's great about the homebrew community is you look at all of these things and there's people commenting, suggestions, and, oh, I tried something like this as well. I mean, that's one of the reasons we all got into this, is because the homebrew community on Reddit and D&D Beyond and all of those things, everyone is so good at playing off of each other, and it would be a shame for us to not look at all of the resources out there. Don't just try to be a bubble and be like, but it was only my stuff. Like, pull from the resources that exist.
Definitely.
If you don't look at other people's, you'll probably just make the exact thing someone else has instead of improving upon any of those mistakes.
Honestly, if you're trying to be unique and creative, you should be looking at other people's stuff so that you're not just doing the exact same thing.
Stand on the shoulders of others.
On that note, I would like to set out a call to action real quick here at the end. Send me your 3 creams. I demand perfection. Find them, make them, bring them to me. Put them in the comments below.
No, let's end the podcast here, folks. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate, again, all of the creators who brought this wonderful content to us for us to enjoy. I'm sure they meant for it to be enjoyed by us on our podcast and for nothing else. That's why people make homebrew.
Absolutely.
It's never used.
will
It is
now.
only mocked on our show. And I wish to you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy Chinese New Year.
Now we have to put this up in as our December episode.
Oh, that's
Next
so
year.
fun.
Sit on this for a while.
All right.
Keep on adventuring, folks. We'll see you next time.